Thank you for your patience. My name's Elise Armercost. I'm the Public Affairs Director for the Baltimore County Police Department. Thank you for coming. This event is the official rollout of Baltimore County's body-worn camera program. We're going to be throwing a lot of information at you during this event, so I appreciate your attention and your patience. Before we start, I want to make sure that you know all of the people who are standing here at the podium today. You all should know County Executive Kevin Kamenetz, of course, and Police Chief Jim Johnson. Baltimore County State's Attorney Scott Schellenberger is here to my right. The county's Director of Information Technology is Rob Stradling, and Captain Joseph Conger is the Baltimore County Police captain who was assigned by Chief Johnson to oversee the implementation of this ambitious project. We're also very happy to have with us today Councilman Julian Jones, Delegate Charles Sidnor, and Alonzo Williams representing Delegate Adrian Jones. Thanks to all of you for joining us. The Chief, the County Executive, and Mr. Schellenberger are going to talk to you in some detail about the various aspects of this initiative. And at the end of the event, we're going to be showing you some of the different body camera mounts that our officers are going to be using. That'll be a nice visual for you. And we're also going to broadcast some videos of sample footage so that you can get an idea of what it actually looks like. And then at the very end, we'll entertain questions. So that's our order of business. I'm going to begin with the County Executive. And
thank you, Elise, and good afternoon to everyone. Well, today we launched the first phase of the Baltimore County Police Department's body-worn camera program. This is one of the most challenging and important projects we've undertaken in some time. We made the decision to adopt this program after careful consideration. Body cameras involve a substantial financial commitment, and they require us to confront many important and sometimes conflicting issues, including privacy, the First Amendment, and the practical impact on both police officers and the public. The announcement we're making today is based on a year and a half of research, debate, and thoughtful consideration about how to balance all of those important issues. At the outset, I want to thank everyone involved in this long and laborious process, especially Chief Johnson, OIT Director Rob Stradling, and their respective teams. The technical program and policies they put together really will be a model for other jurisdictions who are considering body camera programs. So, why body cameras, and why in Baltimore County? We are investing in this program for one simple reason. It will improve public safety. Cameras will help in multiple ways by enhancing transparency, accountability, and trust, by reducing complaints against officers, and by improving the behavior of all parties involved in a police interaction, and most importantly, by making prosecutions more effective and efficient. The first 10 cameras will be given to officers on July 5, with deployment and use on the street July 6. One camera will be assigned to an officer in each of our 10 precincts. After that, the police department will train 10 officers a week for 15 weeks. Those first 150 cameras will be deployed throughout the 10 precincts and in other units where the use of cameras has been deemed appropriate by the Chief of Police. The remaining 1,285 cameras are scheduled for ongoing training with deployment no later than July 2017. We expect the project to be fully in place by December 2018, and when complete, 1,434 officers out of our 1,900 sworn officers will wear cameras. The vendor has previously been identified as Taser International with an 8-year, $12.5 million contract. and it's actually a good deal for taxpayers. It covers the purchase of the Axon Flex camera, maintenance, unlimited data storage, licenses, and other expenses. And these costs will be paid by revenue from the county's speed camera program. When fully implemented by FY19, the ongoing maintenance costs of the cameras, including the personnel to review and redact, will be an estimated $1.6 million, and again, the bulk of that expense will be covered by the speed camera program. Now, before Chief Johnson and Mr. Schellenberger tell you about specific aspects of the camera program, I wanted to talk for a minute about transparency. As you're no doubt aware, there's been considerable debate in other places about who should be able to view body camera footage and the extent to which it should be released to the public. Well, there's no debate about that here in Baltimore County. Body camera footage is a public record, subject to release under the Maryland Public Information Act and other relevant laws. We will treat requests for footage the same as requests for any other public record. The same legal and policy exceptions that apply, for example, to police reports and to 911 tapes, will also apply to camera footage. Absent those exceptions, we will release the footage. Your press packet includes a copy of our website resource on body cameras, as well as and that addresses the most important questions about the program. This information has actually been made available to the public for months on our county website and will be updated as the program evolves. You'll also have a copy of the police department's use policy on body cameras, and this too is now available on our county website. Right now we want to show you a short informational video on body cameras, and this of course will also be shared on our social media accounts and used during our outreach efforts. Our goal is to have a variety of educational tools so that all citizens understand the basics about the program, and so that citizens who want to know more have access to that additional information. So now we'll take a look at a quick video. Hi, I'm Baltimore County Executive Kevin Kamenetz, and today we're going to share some important information about our police department's body camera program. We believe this technology will improve public safety, enhance transparency and trust, and make prosecutions more effective. We hope this video answers your questions about police body cameras and how they'll be used right here in Baltimore County.
Patrol officers in the 10 precincts will wear cameras, as well as officers and other assignments deemed appropriate by the Chief of Police. Cameras will be mounted to an officer's uniform or eyewear. The cameras point away from the officer. They capture images in the camera's field of vision, much like a cell phone camera. Let's see what Baltimore County Police body camera footage from a routine traffic stop looks like. The cameras are equipped with audio. Maryland law allows police to record conversations with citizens.
You are being audio and visually recorded. Well, I stopped you this morning because you were doing 45 and a 30. Any reason you were going so fast? I understand. Well, do you have your license registration on you?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Thank you. For your safety in mind, please remain in your vehicle.
Okay.
I'll be back in momentarily.
All right.
Body camera footage is a public record under Maryland law. Under the law, anyone, the media, citizens, civic groups, may request camera footage. Baltimore County supports the public's right to know. We will honor requests for body camera footage unless doing so would harm an ongoing investigation or endanger someone's safety, or unless there are other legal requirements to withhold the footage. In cases involving significant public interest, the police department may share footage on its official social media platforms. Certain information, such as medical information, the identities of juvenile suspects and sex crime victims, is prohibited from release by law or policy. Prohibited information will be redacted before a video is released. Body-worn cameras are a useful tool in providing clarity, but footage cannot provide all the information needed to make a fair, accurate judgment about police activity. The camera cannot show what was in the officer's mind. It does not show where his attention was focused or record stress that may have affected his perceptions. In low light, the camera may see more clearly than the officer. It's difficult to judge distances on recorded footage. Cameras do not record sensory cues, such as physical resistance.
The Baltimore County Police body camera program has been one of the most challenging issues that we have faced in public safety service. Personally, one of the most daunting tasks that I've been involved with in nearly 4 decades of public safety service. This is a device that we are embracing in policing today all across the nation and locally. Certainly, it would add to the transparency of our work, make our officers safer, enhance court presentation, and certainly allow us to improve our effectiveness and efficiency in public safety service.
For additional information on Baltimore County Police Department's body camera program, visit our website, baltimorecountymd.gov/police.
Okay, we probably didn't need this press conference. We could have just issued that video to you. They did a great job. We know citizens are likely to have additional questions about this program, and perhaps some that we actually can't anticipate at this time. Our police department outreach officers, as well as my constituent service team, will be available in the months ahead to talk to people about it. Finally, I remind all of you and all of our citizens that body camera footage is not magical. It cannot provide all the information needed to make a fair, accurate judgment about police activity. It is no substitute for a thorough investigation, and it has limitations. But we're confident, based upon our extensive study over the last year and a half, that cameras are a useful tool, that can help make us safer and stronger and provide some clarity in many situations. And that's good for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive. Before I ask the Chief to speak to you, I do want to acknowledge a couple of elected officials who have come in since we began. Kenny Brown is representing Senator Shirley Nathan Pulliam, and we have Councilwoman Vicki Almond here as well. Chief Johnson? Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I got my order wrong. I think we're going to hear from Scott Schellenberger next, our state's attorney, about some of the prosecutorial issues involved.
Good afternoon. Scott Schellenberger, State's Attorney for Baltimore County. It is firmly my belief that the use of body camera videos will greatly enhance the prosecution of criminal cases in Baltimore County. I think one of the areas where we'll see a dramatic change is in the area of domestic violence cases. To have a video documenting a domestic violence victim's first words to a police officer, along with video showing the actual crime scene, is going to be extremely helpful in prosecuting these cases. It will be especially helpful in the months ahead should the victim become reluctant and not want to come to court and testify. We have worked closely with the Baltimore County Police Department on the guidelines that both the police department and my office are going to use for all the body camera footage, and we believe that we have outstanding policies in place for everything. I really believe this is a very positive first step for law enforcement and for the prosecution of criminal cases, and I think our cases can only get better because of this footage. Thank you.
And now we have Chief Johnson, who's going to talk to you about some of the specifics about how the camera program is going to work in the police department.
Well, good afternoon. You have to bear with me. I'm going to take a little bit more time than I usually do. Obviously, this project has been very large and has many, many layers to it. I can say without hesitation, as the county executive has pointed out, this has been one of the most challenging public safety projects that we have been involved with for decades. You know, when you think about some of the tools that have changed in public safety, from the 1928 Detroit experiment with radios, police radios, to CAD, computer-assisted dispatch system, tag readers, automated data systems, tasers, and now body-worn cameras. It will have a significant impact on public safety locally and nationwide. This agency, for over 2 years, has followed the evolution of the issue all across the nation. it was immediately apparent that police use of body cameras was an extremely complicated matter involving some of the most important issues that affect American society. It involves issues of privacy and transparency. Every aspect of the body-worn camera program, from use policy to storage and retention, privacy issues, release of footage to the public, requires careful, thoughtful decision-making. And I can say with absolute certainty that here in Baltimore County, we've invested in that thought, that debate, that consideration, and to the detail to write this particular program and the importance that it deserves and it requires. Like all policies in public safety, we're also positioned to change as we go into the future and learn and grow from use of this tool here in Baltimore County and as we watch it unfold across the nation. As a major city chiefs organization, we're a leader in the nation on this topic. Many are behind us at this phase of introduction of the tool. Well, again, our work began very intensely about a year and a half ago when a study group began to spend months and months researching all facets of the body-worn camera program. Last September, you may recall, the county executive announced the county's intention to adopt the body-worn camera program that was to begin in July of 2016. And we're on time and we're on schedule. This department and our partners in information technology, the state's attorney's office, and a whole group of stakeholders have invested just tremendous amounts of time on this project. I would like to highlight the work of Captain Joe Conger on this initiative. Joe is one of our technology experts and really took hold of this and was on the spearhead of this particular project. And Joe, you did a fantastic job. 9 body-worn camera groups have been working constantly on this program. Use policy, redaction and reproduction, tagging and retention, messaging, tech support, logistics, access management, training, navigating through many issues of legal study and legal debate, where attorneys argued amongst themselves as to what the best practices would be, the technology aspects, again, the budget aspects of this, the logistics, and most importantly in my mind, I'm going to talk about it in a minute, the human impact of this tool. We've held approximately 120 work group meetings, over 40 policy meetings, and countless hours of briefing and review with numerous stakeholders. We paid particular attention to testing the cameras in every possible scenario and condition that we could think of. We produced nearly 1,700 test videos using 30 test scenarios. We've tested how the cameras behave in different physical situations during various interactions. We've mounted it on different places on the uniform, chest, shoulder, hat. The device I'm wearing today is hat mounted. We've considered every unit, should they wear it, canine, patrol officers, the chief of police. Well, we put the camera first on our streets, as the county executive has stated, in the next week or so. And again, we've tried to anticipate every possible scenario and prepare for those. Of course, we'll continue to discuss body-worn cameras with the public, and we had members of the citizens involved in this discussion as well. You've been given a copy of the body-worn camera use policy. It is also available on our website, as the county executive has stated. I want to take a few minutes to highlight some of the most important components of the policy, starting with the philosophy behind its use. As we headed into this process, while I embraced it, we embraced it in public safety for specific circumstances, having specific necessary technology features. One of my biggest concerns about the camera was stripping an officer of their autonomy. Just like you don't want your editors or those viewing this to be stripped of their autonomy to practice their profession. This is really important. We'll begin to learn more about this as we use the device. I don't want this to turn officers into robotic, by-the-book figures. That Joe Friday of Dragnet that we remember perhaps when we were a kid, that stoic, rigid, inhumanistic, just the facts, ma'am kind of officer. We don't want that, do we? And this is an important component. This policy is specifically designed to preserve autonomy and discretion of the police officer, but requiring that video to be on in those circumstances where we all know through history and experience we need that video. So that's the policy that we've designed. This is a tool to improve the various aspects of public safety. And I'd like to take an opportunity to discuss some of the key points of the Baltimore County policy for body-worn cameras. Officers are assigned body-worn cameras just like they are a gun and a pair of handcuffs. And they'll activate that camera when that tour of duty begins. That means they power it up. However, they tap the device to activate the film. It has a sleeper mode, so let's just say something happened in this room. It's calm, it's orderly, we're structured, but something happened. And we want to capture that film. The thing has a sleeper mode that'll capture about 30 seconds before you actually activated the device itself. Officers do have the discretion to activate the camera during legitimate law enforcement activity if they believe that the recording may be appropriate. As we've seen in the short video, there are circumstances where the device should not be activated. Conversely, they have discretion to deactivate the camera in places or situations where there is a heightened expectation of privacy. Locker rooms, restrooms, for example. They have the discretion to deactivate in order to secure statements from witnesses or victims if the officer believes that it's appropriate. Officers will notify people as soon as possible that they're being recorded, unless it's unsafe to do so. And we encounter situations every day where there's exigent circumstance, where you just don't have the time to do that. Civilians cannot choose whether or not they are recorded. We'll work with that citizen, of course we will. And certainly our policy allows officers to access their own recordings for purposes of report writing, court preparation, statement of charges preparation, review of statements, and other law enforcement and prosecution purposes. During investigations, officers and their representatives will be able to review recordings prior to providing statements. We believe this will enhance the quality of the product we put forward. How long will camera footage be kept? It depends on the type of footage. The longer you keep it, the more it costs. How long should I keep an ordinary traffic stop that doesn't result in any complaint or any action? So we've designed for the least serious an 18-month retention period, and for felonies, the footage will be kept after we're all out of our occupation and long after that. Who can access the footage? As the county executive explained, there are public records subject to release under the Maryland Public Information Act. We will treat all requests for footage the same as requests for other police records. Footage of incidents in which there is a compelling public interest may be posted to our police department platforms, for example. I can't stress enough that body-worn cameras are a tool to help provide clarity about police activity, to help us understand what really did happen. The camera sees virtually everything, forgets nothing it saw, but it's not a human being, obviously. To help us understand what really happened, that device will be important. But there will be situations, I believe, where the camera does not answer every question. We're going to show you some actual footage in just a moment from our training scenarios that illustrates this exact point. The value of this footage depends on everything from the lighting, and that camera sees better than anyone in this room does. Keep that in mind. I can sit in the comfort of my office and slow it down tomorrow. Half its speed. I can freeze frame it. I can clearly see what's coming out of that man's pocket is a pewter ashtray. But that officer has to make a decision in a split second what's coming out. Keep that in mind. The biggest limitation probably is the fact that cameras cannot record again what the officer perceived, what's in her mind. What did he think was about to happen? Where his attention was focused. That's really important. What he felt, what he smelled, what he heard. The camera footage will be part of a thorough investigation, and it will never be a substitute for the entire investigation. That being said, I believe we've already seen how valuable the footage can be looking at our experiences, and understanding police activity. Commercial surveillance, for example, the footage that we gave to the media last September, for those of you who worked on that project, of the Reisterstown shooting, how powerful that was. How can the police use firearms against an unarmed individual? We all see why that was appropriate in that particular case. You know, the fact is today we live in a camera-oriented world. We're all being recorded every single day. You were recorded when you came in this building, for example. The time is right for Baltimore County to develop a consistent and sustainable policy and procedures and practices. We've always been on the cutting edge in law enforcement and public safety, nationwide and locally. And I'm confident that this program that will start on July the 5th will make our officers safer, certainly add transparency to our work, enhance case preparation, and make our society a safer place. So I guess at this point, Joe, we're going to show some film.
Yes, there will, of course, be opportunity for you to ask the chief and the county executive some questions, but first, Captain Conger is going to show you the cameras and those samples of footage that we mentioned, and then we'll take questions at the end.
Good afternoon. As we've already indicated, the devices that we will be deploying to the field are the Axon Flex, and they are provided by Taser International. We selected this particular product because it is a secure end-to-end system. It covers everything from the point of capture through indexing the files, storing the recordings, retrieving them, and even redacting them and reproducing them. Certainly the device is very easy to operate, and it provides us with a flexible design for mounting on the uniform and on the field officer. And then it also has features built in for passive uploading so that we don't burden our officers with the additional activities of managing these videos. I am wearing the device. The Axon Flex has a 75-degree field of view. It records at 30 frames per second and a 640 by 480 resolution. As the chief indicated, it does have a 30-second pre-event buffering, which means that when I go to activate the camera, I will get 30 seconds of video coverage from just prior to pressing the button, so that I can capture that incident or that event that led to the activation of the camera. The multiple mounting options is very important to us. You know, we're a large agency, we're a diverse agency. We have many different body types, right-handed, left-handed, preferences, and we serve many different functions between patrol officers, traffic officers, special operations, etc. We wanted to make sure that we could pick one solution that was flexible to meet all those needs. Over to my left here, I have 3 members from my section. They happen to be members who have worked very hard on the project. Corporal Havens here is wearing the headband mount. Again, it's the same camera. In this particular case, the headband mount moves with him as he turns his face, so you can see which way he is facing. He also has the option on his uniform to move it to the epaulette on his shoulder. So circumstances can change as we enter and move through different environments. We want to make sure that even a single officer can have multiple options. Corporal Watson is in the middle. He has the eyeglass wear attachment. The glasses come with both sunglasses, clear lenses. They are appropriate for many different settings. And he also has a secondary mounting option on his collar. So in the event, for example, if he was wearing sunglasses and wanted to move them off of his face, he could relocate the camera and continue to operate without interruption. Corporal Ellingworth, she is currently wearing, I can't see her. Oh, I'm sorry. She is wearing the center, please. Sure. Corporal Ellingworth is wearing both the collar mount and the epaulette mount. So she has one on either side of her body. Again, we have right-handed, left-handed preference. She can move it to the opposite side. We can also attach it to outerwear with one particular mount so that you can take one off and put it on the other side. Again, with the various uniforms that we wear, the functions that we serve, we wanted to make sure that we had something flexible for all of those needs. I want to just describe the typical field use, just kind of in summary. You know, when the officer reports for roll call, they're going to get their daily briefing and they are going to don the equipment. In one of the fashions here that is left to the officer's discretion based on their role. The officer is going to go in service on the road, and when they respond to a call for service, if that call for service is appropriate for recording, they're going to activate the camera. They're going to continue to take care of business as usual. This is an additional tool. As the chief said, it does not replace what we do today. They're going to take care of business as usual, and at the conclusion of that event, they can stop recording. They can continue to move throughout the day. They do not need to do anything else with the video at that time. At the end of the day, they can return to the station, and we have set up docking ports where they can return the device and allow it to upload itself to the cloud storage platform and charge the battery at the same time. It's an unattended process. Won't require any more personnel hours to execute those tasks. I mentioned it's an end-to-end solution. The device from Taser, it goes into the dock, and the videos are uploaded to evidence.com. Evidence.com is the portal that we will use for indexing the videos, categorizing them, determining how long we're going to keep them. It's going to be used for sharing videos between a police officer and the detective, or between a police officer, detective, and the state's attorney's office. It is where we will play back videos, is where we will be reproducing videos for public requests. And I'd like to take a few minutes to show you, I have some sample videos which we will have up on the center screen and on the large screen on this side. The first video is a very typical police interaction outdoors that we call a field interview. The police officer, these are all from training and testing exercises. But you can see this one is mounted to the officer's head, so you can see as the officer is scanning side to side and moving through the lot, seeing what's going on in that particular area. So as this officer comes down the front of the shopping center, he's going to encounter a person. And we're just going to stop, check, and make sure everything is legitimate and appropriate.
How are you, sir? Pretty good. You mind taking your hands out of your pockets for me?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks. What's going on?
I'm just waiting for a friend of mine. We're in a couple minutes.
Okay. Sounds good. Do you have your ID on you?
Yeah, sure.
We've had some problems in this shopping center. So I'm just going to copy down your info. I should get you out of here in just a second, okay?
Not sure yet.
So you can see, just even the first video, environmental factors are very important. How close we are to the person, how loud they project. The fact that we are going to be moving throughout the environment. This is not a fixed camera like you guys are shooting with today. The next video shows a low light encounter where we have officers inspecting a warehouse or other closed space. You can see the beams of light. As the chief indicated, this camera captures better slightly than what you can see. It's as close as we can get. You can hear the noises.
There's one over there in the corner.
Let me see your hand. Let me see your hand. Okay, let me see your hand. I got eyes on it.
In this case, we have two police officers encountering two individuals.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, put the stuff in your hand down. Okay, well, put it down for right now. Just put it to the right of you. Put it to the right of you. Put it on the ground. Put the other one down. Okay, now walk over to me. I'm Officer Kite, Baltimore County Police.
Now, thankfully, in this case, this officer is this person is very compliant with the officer's directions.
Take a seat down right over here. Right over here. Right here on this ladder. All right, you got ID on?
Now, alternatively, the next video we have to show you gives you, again, the environmental factors of the interaction with an individual. So go ahead and hit play there, Tim. They've been dispatched, in this case, to an intoxicated person who's being uncooperative with the business owner. This is kind of mixed lighting.
You just want one more?
I just want one more, and then I'm fine.
I'm sure he probably said that on the last beer or two. Did you pay your tab up? Are you all paid up? You're all paid up?
That's what I'm saying. I'll pay you for another video.
All right. He's not serving you anymore. That's why he called us. You start a new tab tomorrow.
I want another.
Okay.
I don't have time for this. I got other customers. I need a man. I'm the only one here.
Time to go. Time to go, sir. Come on. We'll go outside.
Let's put it down on the counter. I don't want you going down the counter. I'm gonna help you out, all right? Let me just finish
So the movement's going to affect both the video and audio.
All right, we're going to walk to the door.
Officer's very calm and assisting him. Unfortunately, his cooperation stopped. Again, it's not a fixed camera, it's on our body. There are limitations to the devices. The last video, we're actually going to show you two views of the same video just to give you an idea of our redaction tools. Go ahead. In this case, the scenario was that we had a person who was displaying either mental or emotional distress, and we went into the business to determine what was going on and see how we could assist them. The image on the left should be the unredacted, and you can see where we've placed kind of a very light blur, just enough to protect the identity of this person who is in crisis and needs our assistance. Certainly, as he moves about, the blur attracts him and protects his identity. That's good, Tim. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, for your attention. Are there any questions? I know that's a lot. We'll go ahead and start here.
Yeah, I noticed, you guys have spoken a lot about police autonomy and everything, but as the county executive stated before, this was a public safety issue. Can you get into more detail about why civilians can't request to have the camera turned on during any sort of run-in with police?
Citizens can request that the camera be turned on. There are huge blocks of calls for service. When you read the operations order that we have given you, you'll see that it's a very slim area where an officer would exercise discretion. For example, what need do I have to capture on film the crying, pleading mother who's asking for help for her drug-addicted daughter? What value, right? But certainly in a situation where a citizen would request it, I'm sure officers would be willing to comply with that. I would be.
And can I also ask for clarification on the discretion that the police officer has as to when to turn the camera on or off? If they can make that decision on their own, what's the point in having the camera?
When you read the policy, you'll see a very, very specific set of guidelines that mandate when the camera is turned on. Most calls for police service that could result in an interaction with a citizen that could result in arrest, all traffic stops. There's a whole list of calls for service where it must be on. So again, I'd urge you to read the policy, and I think you'll be a bit more at ease and perhaps understand why we constructed it in this manner.
And urge the public, I guess, to read the policy as well, because they have no way of knowing.
Well, certainly we're transparent about our practice, our policy, and we encourage, and we've launched into a widespread education program as well to teach the public about the use of the tool.
And it's on our website.
Chief, in other jurisdictions, there have been certain cases where an officer, for whatever reason, failed to activate the camera in a critical situation in the public. If for some reason that happens in Baltimore County, are there sanctions if it was determined that it wasn't just by accident, or how would that be?
Right. I first want to point out that the policy will be on our website, but it's an excellent question. Obviously, you're going to have exigent circumstances where something that's a casual interaction just develops into a crisis. And as Captain Conger indicated, the device has a sleeper mode, if you will. If we identify officers that appear not to be activating the device, and we believe that it's intentional, certainly they'll be subject to our disciplinary system. We're very firm about that, and that's how we intend to address this particular tool.
There was an ACLU report that Baltimore County had the most fatal police shootings last year in the area. How do you think this will help investigate police-involved shootings and other incidents like that?
I have to review this ACL report that you're referring to. However, I do believe that the camera could offer additional evidence to indicate what the officer dealt with. But again, I want to stress to you, never dismiss what could have been in the officer's mind. Again, we've seen the last video, or the video in the bar. Obviously, that didn't capture the entire scenario. We were very fortunate in the Randallstown incident to have a camera, a private camera, on a wall, very well placed.
Will
Reisterstown.
cameras be evenly distributed throughout the county at the same time, or will you be taking into consideration crime stats and figuring out who gets how many and when?
Yeah, specifically what we're going to do is on July the 5th, we'll begin our training program with 10 people. I can only train 10 a day. It's not just you get the camera, you get the training. These officers will go out in the field and ensure you're using it right. There'll be auditing processes put in place. The cameras will be distributed throughout all precincts. So within approximately 30 days, you'll have 10 cameras per precinct.
10 per precinct.
I'm sorry?
Yes. 10 per precinct.
10 per precinct.
Who are the officers that won't have to wear them? What positions don't have to wear them?
What we're doing right now is we're identifying who will wear them. Patrol officers in uniform. I have a camera. I make traffic stops from time to time as well and back up cars. Vice detectives, for example, okay? Narcotics detectives, all right? So there'll be a number of units that will not have them. People work internal affairs, people work in our training division. But virtually every officer that could be involved in a crisis, it's predictable, will wear the device. But every one of us, keep in mind, every one of us, we could be driving home, driving to a meeting, and you could be assigned to some administrative function, and something happened right in front of you. That is a possibility. But we believe that we've invested the right amount in acquiring these devices for our agency.
Anyone else? Thank you all for coming. Before we dismiss, I just want to acknowledge Delegate Rick Metzger, who joined us a little later in the program. If you have any questions after you have gone back to do your stories or read and digested the use policy, just call our office and we'll try to help you. Thank you so much.